Well, hello everyone. So I'm going to be doing an experiment. I started actually yesterday. I took a jar full of water and I placed it on the counter overnight to get rid of the chlorine from the water. So we really only need like about a quarter cup of water. Let me find another container. So this is the experiment. So I think there's a little more water in here than there. Let's see. Alright. So like shaking to put it there. So what ends up happening, you let it sit for at least 24 hours, and that gets rid of the chlorine because you want chlorine-free water. Or you can use bottled water. It's up to you. And what I'm going to do is in one I'm going to add raisins and the other I'm going to add honey. And it's supposed to be a way to make yeast. So first thing I'm going to do, I found this cute little jar. I think my grandmother used to own this jar. I don't know. I'll have to ask my aunties. Okay, so first thing we want to do is we want to get a spoonful of raisins. So it's like about a tablespoon of raisins. So I think that's good. Okay, so we're going to let those sit there. And in this one, we're going to put about a tablespoon of honey. And then we got to let those sit for about 12 hours to do its thing. Alright, so let me get my honey out. Can't get my honey open. Okay, so I'm just going to put some honey in here. Okay, not too much. Let me see how much I got in there. Okay. I think that'll work. Alright, so we're going to let these sit for 12 hours. And I'm going to wash my sticky hands. Or at least rinse them. Alright. And after they sit for about 12 hours, I'm going to add some flour in there. Alright. See you in the morning. Alright, so I have my starters here. So I'm going to use this honey one first because it has more reactive time. Let me get a light on. So if you look in there, you can see there's plenty of bubbles. That means the yeast is active in there. So more people usually add more flour, but I was experimenting. I wanted to make sure it worked. So the honey is really reacting. And this morning I put like another tablespoon or two of flour in there. I mixed it in to help feed the yeast. So here's the one with the raisins. There's some activity, but it's a little slower. And I guess because it has less sugar. Because the yeast loves to eat on sugar. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and pour my honey mixture in there. Alright. And again, I'm experimenting, so if I'm doing this wrong, just let me know in the comments. Don't give me a thumbs down, please. Alright, so I'm going to add water. And this water, the temperature is like about 95 degrees or so. Kind of like warm bath water. And I'm going to pour it in here first so I can get all my yeast out. I'm going to shake that up. So it was about 1 cup of water. So let me go ahead and pour that in there. Alright. So now, looks like I have about 3 cups of liquid. And that's probably going to be about 6 cups of flour is my guess. So, but the dough will tell you when it has enough flour. So let's go ahead and just start mixing a little flour in there. And you'll get more of a slurry. Alright, so I like to do, after I add that first cup of flour, I like to add sugar and salt. And you definitely have to add salt to this because, well, the salt controls the yeast. Not too much, about a teaspoon. But the salt controls the yeast rise so it's more even, and it also gives flavor. If you don't add salt to your bread, which I've forgotten before, the flavor is off. And then the sugar also gives the bread flavor, and the sugar is also, it also helps the yeast. So I'm going to add about a tablespoon and a half of sugar. So flour, water, yeast, salt, and sugar. And then like if you take French bread, for instance, French bread does not use sugar, at least the recipes I've seen. You could also add an egg in here for more flavor. That's up to you, but I'm not going to add an egg today. Alright, so let's go ahead and add a little more flour. So see how quick that comes together? So that was about 4 cups of flour, give or take. But I really, like when I make bread, I don't really measure so much the flour as I do the liquid. Because the bread will let you know when it has enough flour. And then the liquid, you don't want to use more than like a couple cups to make a loaf or so. So this should make 1 large loaf or 2 medium to small loaves. So it'll be a nice amount. Get some more flour. So this is the one that has the raisins in it. Alright, so I'm going to get a cup of warm water to add to that one. Okay. So, I don't know if you can see that. I'm actually just pouring it in there. And I'm going to shake that. Get rid of the sides. So I'm going to actually strain these raisins out of there. You got a little stem there. And for those of you who just don't happen to know, I know most people know this, but it's okay because not everybody has the same knowledge base. But raisins actually come from grapes. They're dehydrated grapes. So sure I could find a faster way to do this. Alright, so I put them in the oven to rise because what I did was, I don't know if you can see my oven light's broken though. Oh well, I'll tell you why in a minute. Alright, so it's been 3 hours. So the reason why I put it in the oven, I had turned the oven on just to warm it up to about 100 degrees. And then I put these inside the oven so that they would rise better, because they rise better in about 100-degree temperature. So this one is actually ready to bake. It's doubled in size. Let's look at this one. Now this one, I'm not sure. Let me put this lid down. Okay, it's soft. Okay, I'm going to try to bake both of these and see what happens. So actually I'm going to I put a little too much oil in this one. Go ahead and pour the oil off. Use that to grease the pan. That way the bread will release better. I don't know, that oil just kind of like got out of hand on me. Okay. You can see the bubbles of yeast coming out on this one. Okay, so I'm going to kind of fold this on itself. Okay, well the bread is out and it looks like bread. I think this one looks a little bit better than this one. But I gotta let them cool and then I'll try them. Okay, so I have both loaves here. So let me go ahead and cut a few pieces. This bread seems really dense. I hope I did mess up by not letting it rise enough. Okay. Well, it looks like bread. Okay. So let me go ahead and take a bite. It's chewy. Okay. Let me put this back on the plate. Okay. So here we have the other piece. Okay. And this one is really dense. Okay, the texture is off a little bit because I did use more oil in this. The other one I didn't use oil. Okay. So it's also shorter, but this is pretty good. So this was the raisin one. And this one is the honey one. So I think I actually like the raisin one's flavor better. But the honey's not bad either. So there you have it. Bread made by capturing my own yeast. Alright, I want to say hello to Miss Betty, to Lily, and to Hassan.